Well, terror on all fronts from al-Qaeda and ISIS in the Middle East is Al-Shabaab and Boko Haram in Africa. The influence of these terror networks spans across the globe, but who are they and what are their goals?
Here now to break it down, retired Lieutenant General Richard Newton, former Assistant Vice Chief of Staff to the United States Air Force.
All right, General.
He's with Steve now.
It's good to have you, General. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, as we take a look at the territory, last week with Tony Schaefer, we kind of looked at where all the bad guys are.
Right.
Now we're going to break down specifically the neighborhoods that they're in, and we're starting with al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda has a lot of territory.
Al-Qaeda has, and Steve, it remains a global threat to American interests and certainly to American citizens as well. We're looking here principally in the Mideast region. The study for the Institute of War, General Jack Keane, who's the chairman of that, has noted that Al-Qaeda has actually grown fourfold in 5 years.
Sure.
And so its influence is still not only in the region but global as well.
You know, and people think Al-Qaeda, that's Afghanistan, but look, now you got Pakistan, you've got northern portions of Africa, and of course the big worry is that they go toward the Mediterranean.
There is, and the spread of Al-Qaeda and their radical Islamic, terrorists and their jihad is still to be reckoned with, I think, for the foreseeable future as well.
This is what Al-Qaeda is known for. It was established back in 1988, responsible for the 9/11 attacks, obviously the USS Cole attack, and claimed the Paris terror attack as well. And the guy who heads it up right now is Ayman al-Zawahiri. Any idea where on the map this guy lives?
Well, he's principally, we still think, up in Afghan Pakistan. This is still very, very rough territory right here, very hard to get into and to weed him out. But again, the influence of Al-Qaeda, not just within that region, but his still is significant to be reckoned with as well.
Of course, the group, General, right now that's grabbing all the headlines is ISIS. And we've got a graphic that shows exactly how big they are. By the way, ISIS first established in 2004 under the name Al-Qaeda in Iraq. The founder was Zarqawi, pledged allegiance to Osama bin Laden. The current leader is al-Baghdadi, separated from al-Qaeda back in 2014, and it goes on and on. All right, and so now as we look at ISIS, the main territory we think of regarding them is Syria and Iraq, right?
Yes, this is their, what they call their interior. This is their caliphate to establish the Islamic State. Think of ISIS as 4 elements. You think of it in terms of governance, think of it in terms of having a strong military of 30,000 fighters, think of it in terms of their financial support, and also their information operations, their campaign, which actually is a global reach in terms of the cyber domain.
And then famously, the video of where ISIS marches those Coptic Christians out on the beach and then beheads them, that's Libya. Libya, once again, just a short trip across the Mediterranean from Europe.
So if you think in terms of ISIS, where do they grow, where do they go next? Libya would certainly be, this would be what they call their near abroad. Then ISIS also has a grand strategy, which includes a far abroad strategy, which includes Europe, Southeast Asia, as well as the United States.
Okay. Now, the group making headlines this week is Al-Shabaab. Remember, it was Jay Johnson who came out and said there's a terror threat from Al-Shabaab. They might hit the Mall of America. They were officially designated a terror group back in 2008. They're affiliated with Al-Qaeda. The senior leaders trained and fought in Afghanistan and, of course, famously responsible for that attack on the mall in Kenya. So this is Al-Shabaab's neighborhood, right?
It is, and principally Al-Shabaab has, over the years, have been focused on the cities, many of the towns and villages. The African Union and other support they've been weeded out of Mogadishu, but they still do attacks in Mogadishu. As you mentioned, the Kenya Westgate Mall attack that killed 64 people. They are still to be reckoned with as well. More nationalistic, perhaps, than a global view. But should should Al-Qaeda be dislodged from Afghanistan, and maybe Somalia becomes a refuge for them.
Yeah, we've been detailing the territory. One thing about all these terror groups that should concern people watching right now is, okay, they're thinking they're in Africa. Actually, they're as close as your computer.
They're global. And to go back to ISIS, ISIS also has a territorial view in terms of the cyber domain as well.
Okay, all right.
General
Newton, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
All right, Elizabeth and Brian, back to you.
Excellent review. Thanks, guys. Well, coming up,